Hi, my name is Dena Muller, and I'm the founder of the Living Trust for the Arts. We are collectivizing legacy planning for visual artists to support their career and life plans and to galvanize resources for emerging and future artists. Visual artists, their life, their work, and their values are part of the broader cultural domain. LTA collaborates to situate them there on their own terms permanently. I started my career in the arts as the director of the historic collective AIR Gallery. My career has grown with the careers of these prolific, iconic, and often overlooked artists, many of whom are now in their 70s and 80s, or have already passed into history. The challenges they and their supporters face in planning their legacies are as complex as those they met as artists. And just as their practices were strengthened through collectivization, so are their legacies. The professional is the personal. Since my start at AIR, I have worked for art services organizations like Art Table, New York Foundation for the Arts, Q Art Foundation, and Sugar Hill Museum. And as a consulting project manager for artists' projects like Hank Willis Thomas's Four Freedoms, Dred Scott's Slave Rebellion reenactment, Sarah Z's Triple Point for the Venice Biennale, and Suzanne Lacey's Between the Door and the Street with Creative Time. What I've learned working closely with artists all these years is that the art world needs real financial and legal resources that go beyond the occasional grants, residencies, and exhibition opportunities to support sustained practice and long-term legacy planning. For example, Daria DeRoche is a founding member of AIR. She and her husband John are both artists and lifelong teachers. They are retired today and own an apartment in New York City and a farm on the Delaware Water Gap. With only art world heirs to consider, they intend to sell the apartment to endow the farm as a residency and a study space for other artists, and they need support to do so. Mildred Thompson wasn't a part of AIR Gallery, but is Daria and John's age peer and died too young, living and working as an artist and a teacher in Atlanta. Today, her partner and a former student, now a curator, are working together to plan her legacy, and they need support to do so. Sanford Biggers is a mid-career artist who has already begun to think about legacy planning. With his studio practice growing and the birth of his first child, he is considering setting up a private living trust and needs support to do so. According to the 2010 census and the National Endowment for the Arts, there are 2.1 million artists in America, and 40% of them are over the age of 45. The largest intergenerational transfer of wealth in history is about to happen, and it's now expected to be more than double what many thought. It's estimated that 45 million US households will transfer $68 trillion over the next 25 years. And while we know that artists are rarely members of the 1% with substantial wealth to consider, they hold much more in cultural property, real estate, and values-driven social contributions as educators, institutional founders, and community organizers. Those artists who are part of the 1%, those who hold considerable market position during their lifetime, have the capacity to create independently funded foundations to maintain their legacies and advance their values in perpetuity. We could do the math on all that, but as the myth goes, artists aren't that good at math. And while that's ridiculously untrue, it's also not the point. The real point brings us to that other ridiculous myth, the starving artist. Living Trust for the Arts exists to support the other 99% who make up the art world as a whole and have ambitions to both live well and leave much. Artists have life heirs and they have art world heirs. We are helping them to ensure resources for all they value in their personal lives and their professional lives. And in doing so, collectivizing substantial resources to sustain art and artists into the future. The project of the Living Trust for the Arts uses a corporate model that is a hybrid of both for-profit and nonprofit resources for artists, using the income generated in each context to sustain programming and services throughout. For artists in later stages of career, the focus is on legacy and established planned permanence. For artists in early and mid-career, the focus is on artist services and creating access to cash and space. I've assembled a team of advisors from my colleagues in the field of artist services, and together we seek initial investment and collaborators in the financial, insurance, and legal services industries to facilitate the collectivization of shared assets among artists at all stages of career. LTA will return resources to participants at all points of contact by creating a sustained circular economy to support artists and the art world. Just as energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred, the same should be true of the consolidated resources of a generation of artists. LTA facilitates that energy transfer for the arts. Thank you.